Every morning and every day from age 9 to age 17, two alarm clocks would go off at 5 o'clock in the morning. My Indianapolis Star newspaper route had to be delivered to 28 daily customers and 36 Sunday customers. The first stop was to climb over the neighbor's 4-foot-high fence, walking then and running up one side and down the other, placing papers inside doors or tossing them on porches. I felt each home was special. I could picture the occupants as customers. I visited during this collection period each month these customers. My route continued up 73rd Street and across back and forth. I finally jogged the last half block down the street back to my home on Nottingham Court. About 300 yards long, this particular street, to the cul-de-sac where my home was located. Did not realize at the time, but running my early morning paper route trained me in other disciplines of responsibility. This responsibility and discipline would last me my entire life. It also gave me an edge in grade school and high school sports competition, since I was in such good shape by running so far each morning. St. Paul's Episcopal Church on 64th Street, Meridian, was my early Christian home. Mom and I would go together on Wednesday nights, choir and acolyte practice, and church on Sunday. We even had church services in the Sunday evening. I think my mom wanted me to be a preacher, perhaps an ordained cleric, and go to seminary. I attended Nora grade school from 1st to 8th grade near 86th Street and Highway 431, about 5 miles from my home. My studies were sandwiched between the newspaper route and competing in all seasonal sports. Some school subjects were like science and social studies were my favorites. In 2nd grade, I felt continually bored and stubborn. I questioned everything so much that they had a difficult time testing me. Once tested, my IQ was too high for regular studentship. After testing, I was often given assigned individual projects. Once I changed my study schedule, I settled down, but not before walking right out of school and hitchhiking 5 miles back to my home. Thank God my mom was quite reasonable and used this act as a teaching moment. Sports were thrilling to me. I played softball, football, basketball, member of the church-sponsored TAB sports program. At Nora grade school, I excelled in several sports, softball and football and basketball, track and field. Shot put ability followed me right into high school. Not only did I push the shot with my right arm, but I flipped the iron weight with my extra strong wrist. This extra wrist advantage, no doubt, came from years of flipping morning newspapers. In 8th grade, I was allowed to leave school all day long and play in a major golf tournament at a Hillcrest Country Club. My parents often said, "You're just too young for that." But since I finished in the middle of the field, I felt pretty good about my tournament golf experience. While attending North Central High School, I played #1 player on the golf team. I was quite conservative. Pars were all over my scorecard, with 3 putts or careless play into a hazard, very rare. My high school, North Central, that I graduated from in 1959, was just being built. So my freshman year I spent at Shortridge High School in downtown Indianapolis. At Shortridge, many of the students were pranksters. An example of the mischief was throwing wet side up ham salad sandwiches to perch on the cafeteria ceiling, and they would drop onto surprised students. This game was called Raining Lunch. While at Shortridge, I took several classes in biology, and natural science was my very favorite subject. In high school, Mr. Prettyman was my teacher. He was my favorite teacher, and he was a hire from Butler University, where he had been a professor of biology. An interest I had in high school was junior achievement. JA was a business apprenticeship program counseled by an adult business leader. The first year we formed a company that sold Christmas tree fire retardant. This mini company was handled just like a startup business, from production to sales and more. My position in the company had been president of 18 students. The second year, the Model Junior Achievement Company was mentored by executives at the Indianapolis WFBM network television station. The focal point of this business was to develop and manage a youth-oriented real television program. The entire hour from 10 o'clock until 11 on Saturday morning had all aspects of programming hands-on. I was responsible for giving the weather and also doing interviews. I remember well my national experience at Junior Achievement included traveling by train with other high school students to Iowa for a national 4-day convention. Students participated in projects like a business competition. At the end of the convention, I was awarded 3 medals for prize-winning projects. But during the convention, I did sneak away to watch a Jimi Hendrix concert and a major college basketball tournament that headlined the future Hall of Famer 7'1" Wilt Chamberlain from the University of Kansas. I don't know how I managed to sneak away, but I sure did. In high school, I attended several Motown music concerts in downtown Indianapolis. I felt I was so fortunate to see and hear stars such as Buddy Holly, Chubby Checker, the Supremes, the Platters, Little Richard, Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, and Jerry Lee Lewis. Dating in high school was interesting to say the least. I mostly went out with girls from another high school called Broderpool. But when I was old enough to drive, this made a big difference in how many times I would go out. I drove my parents' boat. It was really a Packard convertible. That car was really unusual, got a lot of attention. I only wish I still had that classic car, now worth a fortune. I can't forget the incident that caused extensive damage to my dad's precious car. While parked at the well-known Nobby's Drive-In in Indianapolis, Nobby's, of course, was a curbside ordering with window service trays. I remember so well turning the car key and hearing the multi-horsepower engine roar. The Buick engine came to life, and I began to back out of the parking space. As I sharply turned the wheels, I heard a frightful metallic noise as the entire right side of my dad's new Buick hung up on the drive-in ordering console. The next day, I was playing in a golf tournament, hoping my angry father would not show up. You guessed it, Dad was about 100 yards away, stomping as he walked red-faced toward me. Yike! I realized that the consequences of this rampage. How I survived that father-son encounter is anybody's guess. Thank God my memory has faded since then. At North Central High School, I was on the golf team for 3 years. My father and mother would play with me on weekends at other golf courses. I spent a lot of time practicing hitting range balls and short wedges 40 yards across our street, Nottingham Court, to the cul-de-sac front yard. It's amazing I didn't break any windows. Playing some of the top players in the high school team was quite a thrill. This position allowed me to match up with the same talent that played in all the yearly junior tournaments, such as the State Junior played at Purdue University South Course in Lafayette, Indiana. Other tournaments included the City Junior Golf Tournament, Young Men's Golf Tournament. Major amateur tournaments included the Indianapolis District Tournament, the State Amateur, National Public Links Qualifications, National Western Amateur, and even National Open qualifications, usually for professionals. Twice I scored holes in one. Once in a high school match on the 17th hole of Riverside Golf Course, my Titleist golf ball hit high into the air off of a steep hill and onto the green below. The ball hit the green a few feet away from the cup and rolled quickly 6 feet left and right into the cup. I finished my round with a birdie and a final score of 73, enough to close out my match against the best player in the city. 3-0 in my favor. My second hole-in-one came at Coffin Golf Course on the front nine, part 3. Same thing, the ball sailed about 8 foot to the left, rolled sideways right into the cup. I was fortunate and privileged to attend the Masters Golf Tournament held in the famous Augusta Golf Course in Augusta, Georgia. I attended the Masters twice with my parents and once with my high school golf team and once as a broadcaster for WFBM TV in Indianapolis. Seeing legends of golf such as Ben Hogan and Sam Snead, Bobby Jones, famous writer Warren Wind, all were wonderful, even stood right next to Bing Crosby from Hollywood. Since I had a broadcast pass, I attended the Champions Dinner that year. Arnold Palmer had won this Masters. Almost no one from the press was invited, so I felt very out of place. But being a teenager with television credentials was so unusual that I was invited to the dinner and sat across the narrow table from Arnold Palmer and his wife, Winnie. Believe it or not, I found the gall to ask Arnold a golf question. Why didn't he hit a cut wedge on the par 5 number 2? He looked at me and said, I don't practice that shot very much. If you do, use it.